Catching a craze love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire. Hey, never the same. Whenever you're calling my name, I'm taking my sweet time. Hey, just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. Once I get in and I put it in drive, ain't no more stopping me, don't even try. Controlling the chaos, controlling the fire. Yeah, it's all the shots that you don't take. You'll never be heard if you don't say. Just gotta get out your own way. You can't learn to fly on your own if you don't let go. Step out of the shadows, into the fire. Don't be afraid to go out on a wire. Live in the moment, turn it up louder. This is what you're made for. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be
Alongside Bob Parsons, we welcome you here to Oregon Trail Park in Gering, Nebraska, as we are set and ready to go for Game 2 of the doubleheader today. Game number 1 for the Nebraska Outlaws as they're set to take on the Morgan County Wranglers. As we set in to take a look at the scene here today, game number 1, won by Western Nebraska by the count of 5-0. Over that Morgan County. We look into game number 2 and why this game carries such a magnitude in the standings. Bob Parsons, when you look at the matchup like this, Morgan County having dropped their record to 12-12 on the season, Nebraska staring at a playoff berth.
It's really big today, especially if you're the Pioneers. Having won that first game, you're really looking in this game to try and establish dominance. We saw that over their previous 2 games before last night. They got boat raced a little bit by the Pioneers last night. It was not their best performance, obviously, losing 11-0. And you have some Pioneers players on this roster that are seeing the ball well, that are playing for the Wranglers today. And Deshaun Harvey, he hit a home run earlier this week. Zamaripa has been getting on base at a really good clip. And you're just trying to bring success into this game. And if you're Marcel Alexander, you're looking to hopefully bounce back a little bit from a little bit of a rough outing against these Wranglers last Thursday.
Look to see if things can change as far as things are concerned. As we look at the story here today for Morgan County and Nebraska, these two teams having met on Thursday. What was a 15-7 victory for Nebraska as they jumped out in front of Morgan County early. They hung on for the win, but a few changes into the lineup for Morgan County. Handling the catching duties will be Ray Zamaripa, who had just played partially for Western Nebraska as they came away with the win. As we see Zach McCoy and his approach as he relies on Marcel Alexander on the bump today. What do we expect from him today?
If you're Marcel Alexander, you're going to have a lot of movement on those arm side pitches. When we've seen him have success, he's able to control that movement, and he's able to get a lot of swing and miss. But when he starts to struggle, those pitches start running out of the zone or starting out of the zone and ending up even farther out of the zone, and he ends up walking guys, and that can lead to runs. This ball field, fortunately, tends to hold baseballs more, although it's blowing out, and there were 5 yesterday. So it's just going to depend. You're going to really want to miss barrels. We saw them kind of struggle with that. A lot of pitches in the top of the zone over the heart of the plate that those Pioneers players did not miss. And if you're Marcel Alexander, you really want to live on the outer half of the zone or really live on the edges if you can.
And Nebraska saw the Pioneers hit 5 home runs yesterday on their way to an 11-0 shutout victory. Morgan County, they have been on quite a bit of a losing skid, you could say. If you take away a walk-off grand slam in a game that they were 1 out away from losing, this is a Morgan County team that has not found their stride in roughly 2 weeks. We'll see if things can change in game number 2 of the doubleheader today, and that certainly brings into the equation what the playoffs mean for both these two sides, with Nebraska as they inch their way towards the end of the regular season. They're 4 games above 500. A win today would put them 5 above, and when you look at home field advantage and what that plays into an effect for the playoffs, it could mean that Morgan County might have to go on the road for the last 2 games of the playoffs should they make it that far.
It should really depend. This game today and then the game as well on Monday are really going to be key parts to how this Morgan County season is going to end up, because if you end up dropping these next 2, the Pioneers, who have been swinging the bat really well, start to get a lot closer into striking distance of these Wranglers. And that's when those high-pressure games start happening. If you're the Outlaws, you want to try and keep that pressure off as much as possible. Try and clinch early, clinch that top spot early and as early as possible.
The magic number to clinch for Morgan County is 5. Either a Western Nebraska loss or a Morgan County win down the stretch. That would put the Wranglers into the playoffs, but certainly not going their way as far as game number 1 is concerned, so that number remains at 5. But for the Nebraska Outlaws, this is a game that, having already seen the result for Morgan County, they assure themselves first place spot at the end of the evening, as we are moments away with Marcel Alexander warming up. On the other side, we'll see Chase Taylor for Morgan County. He's seen a few appearances as far as exhibitions are concerned, and we'll see what he brings about with his first Front Range League start as far as regular season play is concerned. As Taylor certainly, we'll see what he can bring in his first game. As we're moments away from first pitch, the other end of the break, we'll have start to the game between Nebraska and Morgan County on the Front Range League Network. That's as much as we can get out of infomercial about Chase Taylor.
Yeah, he struggles with control.
To be your friend, I wanna know if it mattered. I would have gone to war for you. I would have bent the earth in two just to get to our ever after. Something about this has changed. I wanna feel you close again. Don't let go. No, I don't want this to end.
Set to go from sunny Gering, Nebraska. The first pitch from Marcel Alexander misses on Tariq Reese for ball 1. Wranglers of a lineup of Tariq Reese, McBross, Nick Griffin, Deshaun Harvey, Hoshi Yusei, and Percy Odell. Landon Calabrese, Von Dillon, Ray Zamaripa round out the lineup, and the second pitch misses away for ball 2. But you look at Marcel Alexander, he looks to find that outer edge of the strike zone, especially with him being a left-hander. We'll see what he can do against Tariq Reese. 2-0 pitch. Again, aiming for that outside corner, and it's Reese. It's ahead in the count, 3-0.
We've seen umpires at times, though, especially last night, really give that outer edge. And if you're able to find that part of the zone that's going to be tough for a hitter, it's going to be good for you to start living there, because you're not going to be able to make as good a contact.
Alexander does find that strike zone. 3-1 the count on Tariq Reese. Here's the left-hander's 3-1 delivery, and this is sent foul by Reese to run the count full. But for Morgan County, second game of a doubleheader against a different opposition. So you look at the mindset, and it's a long haul. At least 14 innings of work, this being a 7-inning game. Swing and a miss and a strikeout. And that retires Tariq Reese.
I really like that changeup, that 3-2 pitch on the outer edge. He's going to be hacking, especially with 2 strikes, and that changeup just able to dart away from the righty of Reese. He's going to have really good arm side movement on that pitch.
And we see McBross. And he had a double in game 1, and that was the best offense that you can find as far as Morgan County was concerned from the batter's box. They did load up the bases in the 7th inning, could not score. The count at 1-0 for McBrost. And again, Alexander aiming for that outside corner. Count at 2-0.
Both of these offenses coming off a very quiet game, both of them being shut out previously by the Pioneers.
So we know one team will end their scoring slump in this game, at least, for what we would hope.
And if you're Alexander and you want to try and continue that streak for the Pioneers, you're going to want to be more efficient in your at-bats, not necessarily start with a 2-0 or a 3-0 count, which he's done twice now.
But both times he has managed to pitch a 4th pitch strike, 3-1 the count. As Alexander looks to battle back the 3-1 pitch. And he finds the bottom of the strike zone, and once again, he runs the count full.
And again, as a hitter, you don't want to go down looking here, so don't be surprised to see Marcel attack here.
Bross ends up sending one foul.
And Marcel went with that same approach, going to start that pitch on the outer half of the strike zone, and it's going to dart away from the hitter with that arm side movement.
Him being a left-hander, it provides such the caveat. Grounder from Bross. Second baseman Basie turns, fires to first for the out of McBross, 2 away.
Basie at his most natural position right now at shortstop, showing it there, and that lip is quite brutal. The infield dirt as well. We saw Gideon Leslie wear one off the face in warm-ups yesterday. He's got a little bit of a bump to show it. He's likely going to be pitching, which is why he's in the DH role today.
Nick Griffin steps aboard for Morgan County. Wranglers are only able to manage 4 hits in game number 1. Griffin takes ball 1 from Marcel Alexander, and do we see this yet again? Alexander having already gone to 3-0 counts, but he's retired both batters in succession. Here's the stretch and the pitch from Alexander. That misses wide. 2-0.
And again, you're going to need efficiency out of Alexander today. He's likely the only true pitcher to be going today for head coach McCoy. After him, it's likely going to be Leslie for the possibility of Murillo.
2-0 pitch misses outside. 3-0. Seems like we're watching a sequel.
Or the third movie, third movie in the order, as it's been 3 straight 3-0 counts from Marcel Alexander.
Watching the same thing over and over again. Griffin elevates one in the air to right, and Nick Griffin is aboard with a single for Morgan County.
And that's just Marcel Alexander playing with fire a little bit too much. As a hitter, you know that strike is likely going to be coming, as it was for the first 2 hitters. The first 2 looked at it. Griffin gets the green light there, and he's able to line that little inside-out swing into right field.
Deshaun Harvey, wearing a Morgan County uniform, checks swing, and he did go, and so ends the 3-0 sequels with the Western Nebraska Mr. Everything taking strike 1. Here's Alexander with the 0-1. Fouled out of play by Harvey.
Should be interesting to see how Alexander attacks him here. Harvey's fallen victim to that righty backdoor slider quite a lot this year.
With the 0-2 pitch incoming and a strikeout of Deshaun Harvey. And that retires the side. 3 batters face early on that are struck out. You name it. One hit for Nebraska. We head to a break in the action with Morgan County to bat after this. We return you to Gering, Nebraska, as we see Nebraska Outlaws to bat for the first time today, and they have the chance to go up against Chase Taylor as he makes his start on the mound for Morgan County. Is this a doubleheader? Last one of the season in the Front Range League before we make our stretch for the postseason. Braden Basie, as he customarily does, leads off for the Nebraska Outlaws. First pitch from Chase Taylor misses wide and outside for ball one. How does Nebraska look to attack against Chase Taylor today?
You're going to look to attack mistakes in the zone. Taylor typically is not living in that zone as much as he would like. He's currently rehabbing that broken hand, or at least he still was when he made that previous appearance. That could have dealt with part of those location issues.
And Basie heading the count 2-0. And strike one delivered by Taylor.
And if you're the Outlaws, you really want to start early today. You had the bats really shut down last time. Markheim had 10 strikeouts, especially with runners in scoring position, so you're looking to improve upon that.
This is a fly ball into left, and the catch is made by Von Dill for out number one. Being reduced to only 3 hits in the game. Quite the performance from Peyton Markheim last night for Western Nebraska.
And a much-needed performance. We saw Moody do the same thing today for Eric Toller, going 7 shutout innings. Markheim going 5 shutout of his own.
A Western Nebraska team that you can say now is a team that you don't want to face. Gideon Leslie steps aboard. First pitch from Taylor across the plate for strike one. Again with Leslie DHing. So you would expect him to pitch later on. Here's the pitch from Taylor, flown up by Leslie. Second baseman Tariq Reese able to make the catch for out number 2. So Taylor's tires the first 2 that he sees, brings on a bat that coming into last night was red hot, and Tegan Maloney.
Tegan Maloney hoping to have a little bit of a bounce back game here today, as a lot of these Outlaws hitters are.
And if you look at what we saw with Nebraska, only 3 hits, 3 Outlaws were able to earn a hit, as Maloney went 0 for 2 last night. Swing and a miss. Evens up the count at 1-1 on Tegan Maloney for Chase Taylor. This is the first of 6 more meetings between these two foes. Line drive and down for a hit. Tegan Maloney picks up steam as he has a single for Nebraska.
And we've seen that a lot from Tegan Maloney recently as he's gotten hot, is it's been a lot of top spun balls there. You saw that bounce that took off of there. As you see that top spin, when he gets that backspin, that's when he's going to have that pop, and that ball's going to travel a little bit more, especially to the opposite field as well.
And we see Tegan Maloney in at first base, brings on Christian McCurden, one of the few Outlaws that did record a hit last night. And he takes strike one as Maloney returns to the bag, with Deshaun Harvey playing at first for Morgan County. 0-1 the count as Taylor delivers the pitch to McKernan, misses right and outside for ball 1.
Again, you want to try and put pressure on these pitchers. We saw them struggle to really put pressure on Markheim last night. You want to try and create those high-stress pitches as much as you can.
As Taylor looks to get ahead in the count, he can't. 2-1 as he misses wide to the right on Christian McKernan.
McKernan hit the ball well, better than he did actually on his single in that first at-bat against Markheim. Both singles were kind of off the end of the bat. We saw that a couple times.
This is a towering foul. Brings the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Tegan Maloney is at first base with 2 outs, with a 2-2 on the way for Christian McKernan as Taylor readies himself. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way. A fastball missed. Runs the count full.
And it looks like he's really not giving that outer half as much as the umpire was the other night. And that's going to need to be of note for both the hitters and the pitchers. You're not necessarily going to need to attack that pitch as much unless you want to in this situation. If you're McKernan, you're not going to necessarily hate the other half of the plate, the outer half of the...
And Taylor comes away with the strikeout. And that retires the side. 1 left on base. 1 hit for Nebraska. We are scoreless here in Gering. Second inning to come after this. A scoreless first inning brings us to the second. Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons as we see Marcel Alexander after what was an intriguing first inning, but spotless throughout. We see what he brings after 20 pitches of work. What should we see in inning number 2?
I like to see him make an adjustment at trying to attack the zone a little bit earlier in the count. He struggled early, going down 3-0 to the first 3 hitters. He started to find it a little bit better against Deshaun Harvey at the end there, and it should be interesting to see because Nick Griffin did a good job of attacking that hitter's-friendly 3-0 pitch from him. And if you're the Wranglers, you're going to start seeing that and start attacking that pitch, and that's where you're going to get yourself into trouble.
Griffin with the lone hit so far, and after going cold against Western Nebraska, Chris Moody. Out comes Hoshi Yusei, who had his success in that first game as he was the only Wrangler to record multiple hits in the game. But another issue that TC Fairfield would mention when you look at, sure, the 4 hits in the game, that's one thing, but also the fielding. 4 errors additionally. We'll see if that emerges its head in this game, but first we'll see the offense for Morgan County going to work with the first pitch from Alexander, wide and outside for ball 1.
If he wants to get deep into this game and start eating those innings from McCoy, he's going to need to be more efficient to these batters.
And that efficiency sees a strike to even up the count. And boy, it's just 1 pitch, but certainly a different change of pace than what he's been used to, Marcel Alexander. This misses low, 2-1. Hoshi Yusei has found a knack of finding his way on base as he looks to continue that trend. The 2-1. This is a towering foul.
And we saw Alexander fall into this trap along with Matlock the other day against these Wranglers. Once you get to 2 strikes, you really want to try and finish these hitters off as best you can.
Here's the 2-2 to Yusei. This is fouled out of play. So the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes for Hoshi Yusei. These 2 teams meet again on Monday, right here in Gering. 6:35 start time. As Nebraska looks to close in on a postseason berth. 2-2 the count to Hoshi Yusei. The Pitch from Alexander. Ground a ball. Second baseman Manuel throws over to first to Zach Turk for the retirement of Hoshi Yusei. Much better from Alexander.
That should be something of note here. Zach Turk getting the first start at first base of the summer for him. Dealing with a little bit of a back issue, so it's going to be easier for him over there at first instead of behind the dish. But again, that was a deep count at bat. He's getting these 6-7 pitch at bats back to back, and that's not how you want to start this game.
That might have been intentional as Percy Yodel takes the first pitch strike. Counted 0-1 on the Brush, Colorado native. Grounder that stays fair. Third baseman McKernan with a throw over to first. And out is Percy Yodel, 2 away. As Marcel Alexander has seemingly settled in.
And another thing of note there, Christian McKernan just getting his second start of the summer over at third base. He's been taking infield reps all summer, typical first baseman, so just shifting to the other corner. But again, guys not in their usual spots, it can cause issues sometimes.
But then again, there's a reason why you try these things out in Summer League as opposed to playing collegiately. Earn a few reps here and there, and you never know when your manager at the college level might be pressed in a tough spot. First pitch to Landon Calabrese, misses for ball 1. How difficult of an adjustment is it from playing in the field as opposed to being a catcher as the 0-1 banned on by Calabrese?
It can be tough at times to kind of lose yourself or get distracted easier. As a catcher, you need to be locked in on every single pitch. As a fielder, you're not going to see the ball as much, and you need to try and stay as locked in as possible.
Fly ball from Calabrese. Center fielder Tegan Maloney able to make the catch, and that retires the side. Midway through the second, we are still scoreless in Gering.
Last time we talked, you had nothing to say. You chose to walk, give what we had away. I hope you get what you're looking for. But babe, with me, you close the door on everything we could have been. Don't go thinking we could be friends. No, you can't bring us back from the dead. 'Cause when you know, you know. And when you don't, when it ends, it ends.
Scoreless in Gering, Nebraska. Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons as we see Nebraska to bat for the second time today, facing the likes of Chase Taylor. And an efficient bottom half of the first for the Morgan County pitcher through the first inning. What should we see in the second?
It should be interesting to see how he's able to live in that zone. He was really successful at it in that first inning, and those Outlaws were sometimes not necessarily when they got ahead in the count, they weren't attacking that fastball for a strike that got a lot of the plate when he did get behind in those counts. I'd like to see them take a similar approach to Nick Griffin on that 3-0 pitch. When you get that 2-0 fastball, don't be afraid to take a hack at it because it might be the best pitch you get.
Yeah, it might be the part of the at-bat that could be the most opportune, but now we see for Nebraska, Isaiah Murillo leading off to begin proceedings here in the bottom half of the second. Again, with Ray Zamripa, the catcher for Morgan County. How interesting of a dynamic is that to have a new battery for Chase Taylor to work with Ray?
They haven't necessarily, he hasn't pitched that much, so it shouldn't be that much of a difference. And I imagine it's a pretty simple approach for him today, likely not expecting him to get that complicated with any of his approach or what he's trying to do today.
First pitch ball delivered by Taylor to Isaiah Murillo. But how much wear and tear back to the conversation we had earlier, as Taylor delivers a strike, evens up the count of 1-1. How much wear and tear on your back do you take as a catcher?
It can be whatever muscle you're using the most. Typically for me, it was my legs tended to hurt the most. Although now with the knee down strategy, it helps a little bit, but it's a full body workout being back there. You're squatting, you're wearing foul balls, you're wearing pitches spiked in the dirt.
As the 2-1 is fouled away by Murillo. The way you are as a catcher, it strikes me that you probably had a high squat.
Not necessarily. I wasn't that big, especially in high school. And you, as a baseball player, you don't want to try and lift necessarily the highest weights. You're going for higher reps and you're going for more explosive exercises because as a catcher, one thing you're exploding on is runner breaks for second base. You need to pop up quickly or pop up out of your blocking stance if you're trying to block a pitch in front of you and a runner takes off.
Speaking of taking off, Isaiah Murillo is aboard with a 6-pitch walk from Chase Taylor. Brings aboard Seth Onestad.
And Seth's looking to respond. He didn't necessarily have the day he wanted at the plate last night. Should be interesting to see how he adjusts to Chase Taylor today and trying to put together better at bats. He went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts.
And he takes the first pitch upstairs from Chase Taylor. 1-0 the count on Onestad. With Grayson Matlock on deck for Nebraska. Taylor throws to first. Harvey obliges. And again, a theme for Morgan County in their loss earlier this afternoon. 4 fielding errors. One of which a brutal one that ended up scoring 2 runs in the end. Part of a 3-run 4th inning for Western Nebraska. 2-0 the count on Onestad. That's one area that TC Fairfield has emphasized have got to clean up on the fielding, and that did not happen in game 1. Murillo with the lead at first. And a strike delivered by Chase Taylor. The count at 2-1. Nobody out in the bottom half of the second.
You're Onestad here. You're really looking to go the other way, trying to move that runner over. We saw both these teams very low scoring, didn't score at all in their last game, so runs are likely going to be a premium today.
And taking a swing was Onestad, evens up the count at 2-2. 2-2 to Seth Onestad. Murillo at first. As Taylor readies himself. The 2-2 to Onestad. Chopper grounder that descends foul. Again, a Nebraska team, as they too have witnessed Western Nebraska start to heat up, as has been the case for Morgan County. As they look to fend off the Pioneers that have been roaring recently. That's what the Front Range League is all about. You can see lopsided score lines, and we saw that between Nebraska and Western Nebraska this week alone. 2-2 awaiting for Onestad, and time is called. Remember early on in the week, the 16-0 shutout victory on Monday, followed up by an 11-0 shutout of Nebraska by that Western Nebraska team that had gotten shut out on Monday. Baseball's a funny game. Grounder that is missed on the play by Percy Odell, and Seth Onestad is aboard for Nebraska.
And magic stuff happens when you put a ball in play. You've seen them be a lot better about that today. Just 1 strikeout through these first 2 innings so far.
And that going in the exact spot you'd be looking for if you are Zach McCoy. So, with 2 aboard, for Nebraska. Here's the pitch by Taylor that misses outside. 1-0 on Grayson Matlock. So the count at 1-0. As left-handed batter awaits the pitch from Taylor. Here's the offering. Swing and a miss for strike one.
If you're the Outlaws, you have to try and produce a run here, especially with runners on base. We saw them struggle with that yesterday. They were in the same situation with just one out, and they were unable to put up a run.
Murillo at second base, Onestad at first, and this attempted throw was spiked into the dirt by Chase Taylor as he has a chuckle with himself. So the count at 1 strike to Grayson Matlock. The 1-1 awaits. The pitch from Taylor. Fouled out of play. 1-2 the count. Nobody out for Nebraska. With a pair of runners aboard. See what Chase Taylor can do with nobody out. Here's the 1-2 offering on the way to Matlock. Skipped into the dirt. Runners advance to third and second.
And that's going to be a big one here, as that's going to eliminate the force out. That's going to make it a lot easier for them to score a run. Got to imagine the infield might play in here, though it looks like they're not going to.
2-2 to Grayson Matlock. Taylor delivers. Swing and a miss and a strikeout. With that, let's pause for station identification on the Front Range League Network. It is the first baseman, Zach Turk, steps up to the plate with one out. Runners on third and second for Nebraska. TC Fairfield comes in to check on Chase Taylor. And an interesting juncture at this stage for Morgan County. Remember, it's a 7-inning game. So the runaway and the room for error is not that expansive. Several mistakes, and all of a sudden the game could get out of hand. What's the conversation in that infield meetup on the mound?
Gotta imagine he might be killing time for the bullpen, or maybe a little bit of defensive alignment there. But that one looked like he was just trying to kill some time for that guy down in the bullpen for Fort Morgan. And it seems like also kind of told them the approach that they're looking to take here with the runners on second and third. As the infield's going to be playing back, they're going to surrender that run if they're able to put a ball in play up the middle especially.
Again, runners on third and second for Nebraska with one out for Zach Turk. Here's the pitch from Chase Taylor. And this is grounded foul.
And Matlock, unfortunately, adding to that trend that we saw yesterday, striking out with runners on base. They didn't have runners on base that often, but when they did, they ran into trouble with the strikeout.
Here's the 0-1 awaiting. As Taylor readies himself, the 0-1. That missed low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Opportunity arises for Nebraska with a pair of runners in scoring position as they look to capitalize. Here's the 1-1 awaiting from Chase Taylor, and that finds the bottom corner. Strike 2. One and two the count. In the bottom of the second inning with a pair of runners in scoring position for Nebraska. 36th pitch of the night for Taylor is a strikeout of Zach Turk. And the trend of strikeouts with runners in scoring position continues for Nebraska.
And that just puts yourself in such a hard spot to be in. Now you need a hit to try and score a run here. When in Matlock and Turk's position, a ball in play scores a run.
9-hole hitter in Grady Manuel takes strike one from Taylor. On the first pitch that he's able to see in this evening. 0-1 the count to Manuel, and he takes a swinging strike. Ahead in the count, 0-2. And with Murillo and Onestad parked at third and second with 2 outs in the bottom half of the second in a scoreless game. Here's the 0-2 to Grady Manuel from Chase Taylor. Elevated foul. And this second game of what is a doubleheader here at Oregon Trail Park. As we saw Chuck Heeman, the president of the Front Range League, his son got married in between the two games. Here's the 0-2. Grounded, fouled. But what a complete day for the Front Range League. You have president with son getting married, game one with had its entertainment with quite the pitching performance. Counted 0-2. As the heroics of Chris Moody have highlighted Western Nebraska pitching throughout the weekend, and this throw is salvaged by Zamaripa. 1 ball and 2 strikes on headsy play that prevented a run from scoring.
And if you're Grady Manuel, you just got to try and find a pitch, a mistake from Taylor to try and find a barrel, find some outfield grass, and try and extend this inning to the best you can. We've seen the Outlaws be so good with 2 outs.
The 1-2 pitch is fouled back. And the count remains the same at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Murillo at third, Onestad at second base. As here's Chase Taylor, already up to 42. Next would be his 43rd pitch of the night. As we're at the bottom half of the second, here's the 1-2 offering awaiting for Grady Manuel. Fly ball into shallow right as Deshaun Harvey is able to make the catch, and that retires aside as Nebraska leaves 2 of them stranded. We head to the 3rd inning, scoreless from Oregon Trail Park. Gering, Nebraska is the site. Runs to speak of, none of them through the first 2 innings. As we see Morgan County set to bat with Von Dill facing Marcel Alexander. Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons. And it's opportune pitching that's been the story for Morgan County through the first 2 innings.
And not necessarily the best approaches at the plate either on the other side. Taylor's living in the zone. All you have to do is roll over a ground ball there and you score 2 runs. Instead, they end up coming up empty once again.
First pitch from Marcel Alexander to Von Dill, misses for ball 1. Discipline at the plate. That is so key regardless which team you're for. 2-0 the count.
It's not even necessarily discipline at the plate. You're just trying to find a pitch to elevate. You need to be able to attack and not be sitting back and letting the pitcher attack you however he wants to, and then you end up in a 0-2 count and you're unable to put a ball in play.
Conversely, we see Marcel Alexander back up to a 3-0 count. This time on Von Dill. And much needed strike. 8th batter that Marcel Alexander has faced today. And half of those batters have had a 4-0 count. This offering leads to a full count off the swinging strike on the part of Dill. So here's the payoff awaiting. Nobody out. And this leads to a walk of Von Dill. He's aboard for Morgan County.
Leadoff walks will often kill you and hurt you, especially at the bottom of the order. We saw them struggle with that last game as well. The bottom of the order for the Pioneers, one of them at the plate right now. Between the 2 of them, they reached base 7 times in just 8 at-bats.
So here's Ray Zamripa as he sees action for Morgan County in the 9-hole spot. Alexander with the pitch, and that leads to a strike. With Von Dill over at first, nobody out in the top half of the 3rd in a scoreless game. The 0-1 to Zamripa, and this is in the air to right and down for a hit. Ray Zamripa is aboard for Morgan County. Runners at first and second for the Wranglers with nobody out.
Once again, we see Outlaws pitching struggle to retire the bottom of the order here, and that lineup card's going to flip over with still nobody out here in this top half of the 3rd inning. And this is when they ran into trouble and end up putting those crooked numbers up against them.
We've seen this at times throughout the course of the season, particularly early on. Strike 1 taken by Tariq Reese. Again, with nobody out, Dill at second, Zamripa at first. Here's the 0-1 pitch on the way from Alexander that misses. Evens up the count at 1-1.
We saw the Outlaws hitters be in this similar situation, unable to score. So if you're Outlaws pitching, you want to try and return the favor here.
What do they say? Revenge is best served in a dish cold. That misses. 2-1 the count.
And if you're Alexander and trying to get out of this inning without scoring a run, you're going to need to get those borderline pitches to go your way. It's going to make your job a whole lot easier.
Here's the 2-1. That misses. 3-1 the count. Outlaws still in search of their first out here in the top half of the 3rd. The 3-1 to Tariq Reese. Swing and a miss from the Modesto, California native to run the count full. So the payoff awaits for Tariq Reese. Alexander delivers outside, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
And again, efficiency. Other than that single from Zamaripa, which that pitch was served right over the middle of the plate, it's been really long at-bats from Alexander. And if you're looking to try and get 5-ish innings out of him today, you're going to need him to be a little bit more efficient here on the mound.
On the ground on the part of Mick Bross, and it gets through. Mick Bross with an RBI single, and Morgan County leads it 1-0.
And again, those free passes are going to get you into trouble. We saw it there. It's 2 walks. That's the leadoff walk that ended up scoring. You have the walk on there at second base. The Wranglers aren't earning these runs as much as they should have to in this situation.
So a 1-0 lead for Morgan County. As here is Nick Griffin. He had a hit in his first at-bat. This ground ball and juggled by the shortstop and Basie, and everyone safe. Zamaripa comes in to score. Morgan County leads it 2-0.
And we see these compound mistakes sometimes when the Outlaws tend to struggle, or anybody in the Front Range League tends to struggle. Basie looked at third. He was looking to make that play as he was moving to his right out there. Just trying to make the play before he can make it. Not fielding the ball first, taking it step by step.
Deshaun Harvey, who hit a home run last night, is aboard with the hit. And coming around to score is Tariq Reese. And Deshaun Harvey makes an impact with an RBI single as he continues to punish Nebraska.
And Harvey really liked how he was able to make adjustments in that at-bat there. That first at-bat, he kind of let Marcel attack him how he wanted to attack him. Harvey on that first pitch, seeing that fastball, able to attack it and send it out into center field.
Coach Grooney is out for mound visit. Already a 3-0 lead for Morgan County. All this with Hoshi Yusei on deck. Again, the base is still loaded with nobody out. For Marcel Alexander, he's got to find a way to reset, as he is the only natural pitcher that is available for Nebraska. Boy, that day of rest tomorrow is coming timely for Nebraska. Hoshi Yusei. Second at bat, takes the first pitch ball. Get bases loaded, nobody out. Mick Bross at third base, Griffin at second, Deshaun Harvey that is, at first. The 1-0 pitch. Strike one delivered from Alexander.
And you're going to need a double play ball right here, preferably to the corner, so you're able to eliminate that lead runner, which is why the infield is playing in right now. If you're able to get that out at home and maybe even at first base as well, that would be huge to try and get out of this inning and keep this a manageable deficit to deal with.
Ball delivered on the part of Marcel Alexander, runs the count to 2-1. Here's the pitch from Alexander. That misses wide and outside. 3-1. Do you give the green light to Hoshi Yusei here?
You start your zone very small at the start of an at-bat, a specific pitch or location.
And this leads to a bases-loaded walk of Hoshi Yusei to bring in Mick Bross. And Morgan County has extended their lead to 4-0.
And again, it's these walks. And when he's been in the zone, it's been over the plate and they haven't missed it. You're really going to want to try and live on the edges a little bit more.
Alexander delivers again outside, 1-0. With activity looming in the Nebraska bullpen. 1-0 the count. Nick Griffin at third. This is elevated in the air. Shallow left. Coming in to score is Griffin. And Deshaun Harvey not too far behind at the plate. He is safe. And a 2-run RBI single for Percy Odell.
And that one's just bad luck. And there's not much you can do about that. Just a jam shot that Odell's able to muscle out into left field. And gotta imagine this is the end of the road here for Alexander.
The lead is up to 6 for Morgan County through the top half of the third inning. And that is the end of the day for Marcel Alexander. New pitcher to come for Nebraska. The Wranglers up 6-0.
From the first moment I saw you, I knew I had to make you mine. Wanted to know everything about you. I didn't want to waste no time. What's something I can do for you, darling? That would make you smile. I'll bring you flowers, girl, enough to see for miles. Something's changed, baby, this I know. Summer rain.
New pitcher for Nebraska, that being in Carter Simmons. Yes, that Carter Simmons, who plays for Western Nebraska. He sees an appearance on the mound for the Nebraska Outlaws in this game. And when you look at Marcel Alexander through 2 innings of work, relinquishing 6 hits and 6 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. Marcel Alexander, a chance to improve the next time he's on the mound.
And they were just able to make adjustments in that second time through the order. Marcel had been playing with fire all day with those 3-ball counts, and they just ended up catching up to him, ended up missing a couple of those 3-ball counts pitches, and then they're able to attack those pitches in the zone, which is how you turn into a 6 spot here early.
Landon Calabrese takes the first pitch strike from Carter Simmons. And that runs the count to 0-1. Runners on second and first. As that pitch misses, 1-1 the count on Landon Calabrese. If you say it's second, Percy Odell at first. This is fouled by Calabrese. 1 ball and 2 strikes. A look of Carter Simmons on the mound for Nebraska. This sails up high, 2-2 the count.
I don't hate that idea of trying to attack the top of the zone there, trying to get that swing from Calabrese in a much-needed strikeout situation here with runners on first and second. You're really not trying to let those runners get into scoring position. You already have 1 there.
Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way to Calabrese. Grounded foul. As Calabrese is able to stay alive. So with the count at 2-2 for Landon Calabrese. A pair of runners aboard, still nobody out in the top half of the third. The pitch from Simmons. Calabrese stays alive.
And Simmons not a typical pitcher. It's going to be hard for him to find that put-away pitch here.
How difficult is it as a catcher to have a position player pitching to you? Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss, and Carter Simmons earns that strikeout.
See if he wants to keep that baseball. It's unlikely that he will. If you're a catcher catching position player, as long as they're accurate like Simmons has been so far, it makes your job pretty easy. They're going to have a little less moving on their pitches. You just hope that they can have success in the zone like Simmons proved there in that first at-bat.
That's the first out of the inning for Morgan County offensively. Carter Simmons delivers again, this time a strike. Vaughn Dill, who began the inning with a walk, which has led to the 6-run avalanche as Dill takes strike 2 swinging. And again, speaks to the importance of how batters in the bottom of the order can make the highest in magnitude impacts. We saw that yesterday for Western Nebraska. Again, we've seen it with Morgan County, and that's what led to this 6-run third inning for them. 1-2 the count on Von Dill. As Simmons delivers the pitch upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Morgan County dead even. 500 on the season. As they look to sneak away from Western Nebraska, who is closing in for the final playoff spot. This across the heart of the plate runs the count full on Von Dill.
Here's Simmons. You really want to try and win this payoff pitch right here. Try and get that second out. Try and get out of this inning without having to face the top of the order for the second time.
Payoff pitch, and the bases are loaded as Ray Zamripa steps aboard for Morgan County. So 1 out in the top half of the third. Ray Zamripa, who had a liner into right earlier this inning, as he sees his second plate appearance. And 6 runs scored by Morgan County in the top half of the third, and that's the scoreline up to this point. As Carter Simmons delivers the pitch to Zamaripa that misses wide and outside for ball 1. Bases remain loaded with 1 out for Morgan County. 1-0 to Zamaripa, and he takes a strike. All the mindset of hitting the reset button. The 1-1 pitch. Inside for ball 2.
And when the pitcher is having a hard time locating, I'm not saying that Simmons is necessarily doing that, makes it really easy because you're able to really just select one spot in the zone that you're really trying to put damage on with a pitch with your approach.
This time another one heads in on Zamaripa. 3-1 the count. Again, bases loaded with 1 out for Morgan County. Top of the order is on deck. Here's the 3-1 pitch on the way from Simmons, and a bases loaded walk. And another run scores for Morgan County. It's a 7-0 lead for them.
You're starting to get into dangerous territory here because we are just in a 7-inning game. If they're able to get a 10-run lead here, they can get out of here in just 5 innings.
Run rule in the Front Range League for 7-inning contests. As you mentioned there, Bob, through 5 innings, 10-run margin or more, game is over. The end of 5. And then if it's a 9-inning game, it's a 15-run rule after 5, 10 after 7. First pitch to Tariq Reese leads to strike 1. And for Carter Simmons, all you're thinking about, out any which way possible. The 0-1 in tight on Reese. With discipline, the plate evens up the count at 1-1.
And already the 12th batter of this inning with just 1 out. We've seen the Outlaws do this to other teams. This is the first time we've really seen somebody else do this to them.
Counted 2 balls and 1 strike. to Tariq Reese. See what Carter Simmons is able to do for Nebraska. Placing Marcel Alexander in this inning. Line drive foul. 2-2 the count. With Percy Odell at third. Von Dill at second. Rere Zamaripa at first. With one out, the bases loaded for Tariq Reese. Here is the 2-2 pitch on the way from Simmons. That missed, and the count runs full.
You got to try and create an out here if you're Simmons. Trying to elicit some soft contact or get a swing and miss here. Trying to get Reese off balance. We haven't really seen these Wranglers hitters off balance that much in this inning. Most of their hits have been line drives and hit pretty hard.
And that leads to a strikeout of Tariq Reese. Brings on Nick Bross with 2 outs. How much of an impact, you've played doubleheaders plenty of times, how much wear and tear does it take on you if you're playing game 1 and leading into game 2? Is there much of perhaps a loss of your level as Bross takes a swing and miss?
Baseball games can wear down on you. Typically, we had a big enough roster to kind of switch guys up, so they
Line drive on the ground and through from Mick Bross. Odell comes in to score, and it's an 8-0 game. Sorry there, partner, as Bross is able to bring in another run, and the lead is up to 8.
And again, he was able to get that soft contact there. They just hit it in the right spot. We've seen that twice this inning. We saw that with the bloop single earlier from him in this inning from Bross. That was able to score a run. And it's really tough when the baseball gods are against you. You're walking guys. It just puts yourself in a really tough spot, and that's how you get these 8-run innings.
Swing and a miss from Nick Griffin. Runs the count to 0-1. So 0-1 is the count. As Nick Griffin, a hit in both plate appearances he's seen today, as this is fouled out of play. 0-2 the count. 0-2 with 2 outs, bases loaded for Morgan County, and a half inning that's already seen them put up 8. Here's the 0-2 awaiting for Nick Griffin, and that misses for ball 1. So 1-2 is the count. Again with bases loaded for Morgan County. Here's the 1-2 pitch awaiting for Nick Griffin. This is a line drive into left and down for a hit. Von Dill is in to score. And with the sign home, Rere Zamaripa, he's also in to score. Coming around is Mick Bross, and he scores. And Morgan County leads it 11-0. Bases clearing RBI double for Nick Griffin as he continues his offensive onslaught across the Front Range League.
And we've seen this is going to be the 15th batter coming to the plate this inning. Most hitters we've seen come to the plate in an inning, they're trying to they broke the Outlaws record, standing record of 13, I believe.
This is sent out of play by Deshaun Harvey for strike 1. So much so that scoreline has broken the scoreboard here at Oregon Trail Park. Ground ball from Harvey. This should end the inning. Basie with the throw over to first. And that retires the side, but not after a high-scoring inning. 11 runs scored off of 7 hits for Morgan County. They lead it 11-0 midway through the third.
change, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter snow, but I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours. I love your style, and I love your grace. Said I love to put a smile on your pretty little face. I love it when you're close to me. That's where I want you to always be. I didn't know when I found you that I would find a love so true. And you can see it in my eyes. That girl, you've got me hypnotized. Something's changed, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter.
On Nebraska, Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons, new pitcher for the Wranglers, and that in Madden Aguilar. After 2 innings of work for Chase Taylor, only allowing 2 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. A positive outing for Chase Taylor through those 2 innings.
And just poor approaches at the plate at the bottom of this outlaw order. We saw the Wranglers have success with this and just knowing what to do with runners on base. And it seemed like there was a lot of selfish at-bats possibly going on that other side for the Outlaws, just needing to put a ball in play, unable to do so. You end up getting blanked in that inning where you had runners in scoring position with nobody out, and you're unable to come up with runs, and then you get 11 put on your head, and now you're even more in the dumps than you were before the start of that inning.
It's been a complete change from that bottom half of the second inning, and now something that we have not seen ever, as Morgan County has broken franchise record for most runs in an inning with 11, as they have blown this game open. So, barring the unforeseen, Morgan County to up their record to 13-12 on the year. And it's one of those cases in this league where you see results either way. We saw Nebraska blank Morgan County 16-0 earlier this year, and now we see a game like this. Braden Basie steps aboard as Madden Aguilar heads on the mound. Bottom half of the third. Wranglers certainly having intentions, maybe, and we'll see how long this 7-inning game lasts. But first pitch to Braden Basie, and he checked his swing, but it went directly off his bat. Strike 1.
And this is who you want up if you're the Outlaws. We saw the Wranglers put up 5 runs on Jack Banning a couple weeks ago now, almost a month. And it was Basie that started that inning with the triple and trying to gain some of that momentum back. Obviously, this is a much different lead than just a 5-0 lead, but you're going to need to start chipping away. You're not going to be able to do it all in one, likely.
Count evens up 1-1 on Braden Basie. But in order to have a double-digit comeback, have to put yourself in that spot. Braden Basie would be that guy to instigate it into the dirt. 2-1 the count.
And again, base runners, base runners, base runners. Trying to find a way to chip away, putting together good at-bats, unselfish at-bats at that, where that's taking a pitch. You just, off your own body, you need to be able to put the ball in play and make something happen.
The 2-1, that's on the ground, played by the third baseman Percio. Throw over to first, and out is Braden Basie. 1 away in the bottom half of the third.
And if you're on the other side, in the case of the Wranglers, you're just putting the foot on the gas pedal at this point. Every single out is so huge at this point. You just need to collect 8 more at this point without allowing 2 runs, and you put the Outlaws in the exact same spot that they were in yesterday, getting run ruled, losing 11-0.
So here is Gideon Leslie, as Aguilar set to deliver. Pitch sails over his head in Ray Zamaripa. Ball 1. So 1-0 the count. As Aguilar looks to reset. 1-0 to Gideon Leslie. The pitch. Missed the corner. 2-0 the count. Morgan County registered 7 hits in the game up to this point, compared to Nebraska's 2. 3-0. Runs the count on Gideon Leslie.
And really what was the backbreaker in that inning was the walks and the illy timed walks at that.
Seemingly, and it's that stretch from the bottom half of the second to the top half of the third, obviously. 11 runs that were put up. And that leads to a 4-pitch walk of Gideon Leslie that brings on Tegan Maloney. Beg your pardon, the count of 3-1. 3 balls and 1 strike to Gideon Leslie. Zaga looks to battle back. This skips into the dirt. And that leads to Leslie with the free pass. Which now brings up Tegan Maloney. TC Fairfield. Notice that Madden Aguilar has had a few pitches that might not have been to his liking. Fairfield with a few words of encouragement that cracks a smile on the face of Aguilar. With 1 away. In an 11-0 contest. So here's Tegan Maloney for Nebraska. Again, Morgan County scored 11 runs in the top half of the third. Here we are on the bottom half of that inning. As Nebraska looks for answers, Tegan Maloney could be one of those lifelines for them. Madden Aguilar looks to shut the door, however. The first pitch awaiting for Tegan Maloney from Madden Aguilar on the way. Upstairs for ball 1. As we head down the stretch, these two teams again to meet on Monday, 6:35. Runner goes, throw to second base, and safely there is Gideon Leslie.
And a risky stolen base attempt there by Leslie. You really just need base runners at this point. And I understand trying to eliminate the force out. But again, you're going to want to chip away, and you're going to need base runners, and you really don't want them to get eliminated on the base pass.
So Leslie moves himself into scoring position. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fouled off the bat of Maloney, out of play. 1-2 the count with a runner at second base in Gideon Leslie. Left-handed batter in Tegan Maloney. Here is the 1-2 pitch awaiting from Madden Aguilar to Tegan Maloney. The pitch. Swing and a miss and a strikeout of Tegan Maloney.
Yet another strikeout with a runner in scoring position here. That is now 3 on the night for the Outlaws in just 3 innings and 4 at-bats with runners in scoring position.
Brings on Christian McKernan. Leslie remains parked at second base with 2 outs. McKernan swings at the first pitch he sees from Aguilar for strike 1. And this, a weekend that When it's not your weekend, it's not your weekend. The sun rises tomorrow. Here's the 0-1 awaiting from Aguilar. And that misses. Evens up the count at 1-1. One ball, one strike to Christian McKernan with Leslie at second base with 2 outs. Bottom half of the third in an 11-0 game. Aguilar with the pitch. McKernan took a swing. First strike 2. It is stretch and exhibition games coming up for the Nebraska Outlaws next week. Might see an appearance from partner in the booth, maybe?
Possibly. We'll see how the arm feels. Got to throw today. Feels fine right now.
The 1-2 misses to even up the count. What's it like pitching in those exhibition games to the caliber that you've had so far, Bob?
I think there's a lot of adrenaline that starts running through your body. And it's not a role that I'm comfortable with being a pitcher, but it's what needs to be done at this point.
Throw gets away to run the count full, and Leslie is able to take third off the wild pitch.
And you just got to try your best to throw strikes in that scenario. I felt that it's the least I could do. Is they're giving me the opportunity to play the game I love again. Least I can do is not walk anybody. I was successful in doing that. So if I pitch again, that is still the game plan, is to not walk anybody and try and be as efficient as possible on the mound.
Here's the payoff awaiting for Christian McKernan with Leslie at third base. This is grounded foul. And for Matt Aguilar, step in and you got quite the runway for you. Wranglers certainly with intentions making an early trip back to Fort Morgan. Payoff pitch awaiting for Christian McKernan. As Aguilar with the payoff pitch to Christian McKernan. This is grounded foul. In an 11-0 game. Bob, that would be your last appearance in the Front Range League as far as exhibitions are concerned. With none left in the season after this. After the game on Tuesday. Here's the payoff. Lined in the air to deep left field. This goes off the wall and a ground rule double for Christian McKernan.
And he just saw too many pitches from Aguilar there, and that pitch with Aguilar not wanting to walk anybody, especially up 11, just got a whole lot of the zone, and McKernan's able to hit that on a line and a gap and score a run with 2 outs.
Leslie comes in to score. And that makes it an 11-1 game. Here's Isaiah Murillo. Talk about a discipline at bat for Christian McKernan. Pleasant sight to see for the Nebraska faithful. And so ends the shutout streak for Nebraska as well. This is flown into foul territory now to play. Would have won the count on Isaiah Murillo, but out of as egregious as last game and a third, the at-bat from McKernan, area for positivity for the Outlaws.
Which is something of note, although McKernan did strike out looking in that first at-bat. The strikeouts have just been too often, especially with runners on base here for the Outlaws. and you're going to really need to be better about that. You obviously love to see them score with 2 outs. That's what kind of been what their bread and butter has been all season. But you do want to score before you get to 2 outs in an inning.
Recurring theme, although there is no question who can score the best with 2 outs. Missed on the part of Aguilar, runs the count to 1-2. But let that be said, without question in the Front Range League, there is no better team at scoring with 2 outs than the Nebraska Outlaws.
Although that Wranglers were able to give them a little bit of a taste of their own medicine in that last inning. But see if they can do that here, trying to put up a crooked number, trying to put together a couple of quality at-bats together. We've seen them struggle to do that, especially in these last 2 games.
Won't happen here. A strikeout of Isaiah Murillo retires the side. Nebraska does score 1 run off the ground rule double from Christian McKernan. Our score through 3 innings. Morgan County 11, Nebraska 1.
But I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours. Some things change, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter snow. But I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours. Some things change, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter snow. But I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours. Some things change, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter snow. But I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours.
Start of the 4th inning with Morgan County leading Nebraska 11-1. Brings up the topic of walk-up songs. Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons. What are some of your favorite walk-up songs?
I was a guy that tended to amp myself up a little bit too much when I came up to the plate or was just thinking a little too much. So I pick generally slower songs, and I'm more of a country guy myself, at least in music taste. So I had Sand in My Boots, which is by Morgan Wallen, and then Thought You Should Know, also by Morgan Wallen. And those kind of just calmed me down, put me in the right headspace, and kind of brought me back to a more comfortable place than necessarily if it were a faster song or like a hype up song, because I got a little bit too amped up or a little too hyped whenever I got out there or in the box.
What was your, as Hoshi Yusei takes the first pitch strike, favorite memory on the diamond as a batter was when?
I had a couple good ones.
Here's a good one for Hoshi Yusei, who's aboard with a single.
Playing my senior season, the summer after my senior season, I had a couple extra base hits, which is pretty nice. I've had a couple games where you hit a triple or you hit a double and you get to do double celly and hype your guys up, so that's always a fun one. Off the top, I never hit a walk-off. That's something I wish I could have been able to do. Playing at T-Mobile Park was always a fun one. I didn't necessarily hit the best there. I went 0 for 1 with the walk.
Hoshi Yusei aboard at first. T-Mobile Park is the home for the Seattle Mariners, who also happen to be trailing 3-0 to the San Francisco Giants at the moment. This leads to a strike. Percy Odell, counted 0-2.
And again, being able to put batters away with 2 strikes is really how you're gonna get back into this game. We've seen them struggle with control, both Simmons and Marcel.
Throw to first base, and with the thinnest of margins returning to first was Hoshi Yusei.
And I don't hate that from Matlock by any means. Trying to help your pitcher out there. You've seen them struggle a lot today, especially getting that first out. It wasn't until Calabrese, which was the 9th batter of the inning, where they were able to get that first out.
Fly ball into center field. Tegan Maloney backs up, and he's able to leap and make the catch for the first out. One down. So here is Landon Calabrese with Hoshi Yusei at first base. See what Calabrese can do in this 11-1 contest. Simmons delivers. This is trapped in the dirt by Matlock.
And coincidentally, Calabrese, given that he was the 9th batter to come to the plate, the only Wrangler yet to reach today.
Hard throw over to first, as Yusei makes a return to first base. The pitch to Calabrese is fouled back.
Believe he's also the only Wrangler not to score as well.
As we have confirmation in a minute. The pitch to Calabrese, and this is elevated in the air into the gap at left center field. Landon Calabrese is aboard for Morgan County with a single.
Now we can say that every single Wrangler has gotten on base today.
And there has only been 2 without a hit today. And you to answer your question about who has scored runs, to your point, Landon Calabrese is the only one to not score a run today. And there have been 3 Wranglers that have scored twice. Line drive from Von Dill, and that is fouled. So the count at 0-1 for Von Dill, with the lead at 11-1. With Hoshi Yusei at second base, Landon Calabrese parked at first.
You need to be able to retire these guys at the bottom of the order. We saw them struggle with that yesterday. We've seen them struggle with that today. They still haven't done it yet. You need to be able to do this to have success as a baseball team.
Here's the 0-1. Ball 1. As Von Dill, who has yet to record a hit for Morgan County. He has scored, however. Fouled out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes for Von Dill. With runners at second and first, and an 11-1 lead for Morgan County. As Simmons readies himself. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way that misses up high. 4 ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out with 2 runners aboard for Morgan County. In an 11-1 game, Dill stays alive.
Again, just try and attack him with that fastball up. He's behind on the fastball. He's not timed one up yet in this at-bat. Trying to attack him with the fastball.
Here's the 2-2 from Carter Simmons. There's the fastball, and there's a strikeout. With that, let's pause for station identification on Front Range League Network. Here's Ray Zamripa in a Morgan County uniform today. After playing game 1 against the same Wranglers. First pitch hits Zamripa from Simmons. And when you have not a natural pitcher, you may see a few pitches like that. That loads up the bases with 2 outs. 11-1 lead for Morgan County as we are at the top of the order. But an 11-1 lead sees Tariq Reese foul one out of behind home plate. Count at 0-1. So we'll see Outlaws begin first of 2 in a row as Reese takes strike 2 swinging. Outlaws with a game. Home game on Monday, home game on Tuesday. Before facing Western Nebraska on Thursday. Fastball from Simmons, grounder on the part of Reese. Shortstop Basie, sidearm throw for the retirement of Tariq Reese, and that retires the side. As Morgan County unable to score, but they still cling to a 10-run lead. Back after this.
I am waiting for a bus at the end of the night. Under street lamp, bed face flamed by the light. I'm going away. I'm going away. I'm going away. And the sun gonna shine on a brand new day. Must be somewhere welcome me into the fold. Blooming flowers, as much as I can hold. I'm gone away. I'm gone away.
Bottom of the 4th inning, Morgan County with an 11-1 lead on Nebraska Outlaws. Danny Bog joined alongside Bob Parsons as we see Matt Aguilar on the mound for the Wranglers. What should we see? What are you looking for out of Aguilar? You're in this bottom half of the 4th with a 10-run lead.
Just pound the zone. That's about all you can ask for. You got a 10-run lead. Don't put yourself in harm's way when you don't need to. Your offense has been very potent. They were unable to score there, but they were threatening. And these Outlaws have just been shooting themselves in the foot these last 2 games, and just got to let them keep doing that.
How big is a reset, say, on a Sunday beneficial for the Outlaws coming up?
Gotta imagine there might be either a long meeting after this one or an early practice tomorrow. Just as a, hey, let's lock in, let's dial in, guys. This is not the brand of baseball we want to be playing, as it's been a lot of not great at-bats, 6 at-bats with runners in scoring position, 4 strikeouts. You're still able to score that run in that last inning, but it feels a little too late at this point.
Here's Seth Onestad. This man Aguilar looks to pound the zone and does with strike 1.
And again, that off speed just to start the count, land that first strike. We see Coach AC preaching that to these Outlaws pitchers. That's a good way to then establish the fastball.
Aguilar quickly ahead in the count on Onestad, 0-2.
When you're able to land both those pitches for a strike, especially creating an 0-2 count, it makes it really difficult.
This is grounded. Third baseman Odell watches one sink right by him. And Seth Onestad is aboard with a single for Nebraska.
And you got to try and capitalize on this. They are giving you an out there, and you have to be able to capitalize on it. It's a mistake. If you're Onestad, don't run into an out. Don't try and steal a base you can't steal. Don't get picked off. If you're Matlock, see that massive 4-hole on the right side and just roll over.
Grounded foul on the part of Grayson Matlock. I would have won the count on him. With Onestad at first base, nobody out. Bottom half of the fourth. Morgan County leading it 11-1. Here's the 0-1 awaiting for Matlock from Madden Aguilar. The 0-1 pitch on the way. This is grounded. Shortstop Ross. Toss over to first. And a double play.
And you got to imagine if you could have just done that in your last at-bat, you would have an RBI.
Two down for Zach Turk.
And it just seems like lack of approach here. You go up the middle, you're able to put a ball in play there. You're unable to do so in your last plate appearance when that's all you really need to do. And that's the exact opposite of what you're looking to do there is put it on the ground up the middle. You're asking to get sent into a double play there when you have a massive 4-hole on the right side of the infield.
This is a weekend to forget in many regards for the Nebraska Outlaws. The 1-0 as Turk ends up swinging. Evens up the count. 1 ball and 1 strike. Here in this bottom half of the fourth. With a run rule in effect in a 7-inning game. The end of 5. Morgan County is in that position. Here's the 1-1 awaiting for Zach Turk. Strike 2 delivered.
And you really want to try and see a battle out of here as Zach Turk. Be tough with 2 strikes. Try and battle back. Put together a good AB. Try and extend this inning as best you can.
Aguilar with the 1-2 to Turk. And that barely missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two and two waiting for Zach Turk. Aguilar with the windup, and the 2-2 pitch on the way to Turk. Misses, and that runs the count full. Nebraska had a base runner that emerged in Onestad before Grayson Matlock grounded into a double play. But here's Zach Turk with a payoff pitch awaiting in the bottom of the fourth in an 11-1 game. Aguilar delivers. Grounder that goes off the mound. Juggled on the play by Bross and a wild throw. And Zach Turk, it was a roller coaster. He's aboard for Nebraska. So, even with Morgan County, the scoreline the way it is, they still have 2 errors to their name.
And they haven't been playing a clean brand of baseball by any means. Free passes in bad spots, errors, and you're just fortunate the Outlaws have not been able to have success even with all those mistakes.
Grady Manuel takes ball 1. My goodness, it is one of those days in the middle of July. The 1-0. Swing and a miss from Manuel. Evens up the count.
You've had 2 walks now with your lead being at least 10 runs. You've had 2 errors with your lead being at least 10 runs. And that just cannot happen.
The 1-1. Aguilar delivers. That upstairs. 2-1 the count. See what Grady Manuel can do ahead in the count with Zach Turk at first base. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. As Aguilar readies himself with a 2-1 pitch awaiting for Grady Manuel. The right-handers 2-1. Finds the strike zone. 2-2. Nine hits for Morgan County, 3 for Nebraska. 2-2 with 2 outs. Runner at first. The pitch, grounder. Again off the mound, played by Bross. Throw over to first. That retires the side. As that sees 11-1 lead for Morgan County as we make our way to the 5th after this. Gideon Leslie steps aboard for Nebraska. Morgan County leads it 11-1 in the 5th inning. As Morgan County in pole position to work their way back to 500. And their magic number to clinch a playoff spot would be reduced to 4. But this certainly one of those games that you certainly remember regardless who you are, whether you are Morgan County or Nebraska. And it's how you look after a game at the end of the season. This could be a turning point in many regards. If you're Morgan County, you have the mindset of that this team truly is best team in the Front Range League, and they make a statement in this regard. If you're Nebraska, this could be the wake-up call to their season. And there's always the response that you have after a game like this that carries more, maybe even perhaps more magnitude than the game itself. 1-0 pitch to Mick Bross. Misses, count at 2-0.
You got to imagine, yesterday was that wake-up call. You get trounced, you get boat raced, don't score in 7 innings, you get sent home early, and you end up with the same result today. Obviously, all those runs coming in that 1 inning, but still.
If you're Morgan County, a lot of areas to build off of from that 3rd inning alone. That's where all the scoring has come from in this game. Strike taken by Mick Bross runs the count to 3-1. Gideon Leslie on the mound for Nebraska. Bross took a swing, an ambitious one for that matter, runs the count full. So the payoff pitch awaiting for Mick Bross from Gideon Leslie. What's it like to see him on the mound? As the payoff sails and the walk.
Typical position player pitching. We saw him struggle with control the last time he was out there. And same trend continuing so far. I'd like to see him try and make an adjustment, try and live in that zone a little bit more, especially where the scoreboard is at right now. You're not helping yourself by any means or helping your offense. Try and continue to play this game and get to a sixth inning by walking the leadoff man. We saw them walk the leadoff man in that big inning, and you're hoping it's none of the same here.
Here's Nick Griffin. As Leslie readies himself with Bross at first. And a strike delivered by Gideon Leslie.
We saw a ground ball double play last inning for the Wranglers pitching staff. You got to hope that Gideon Leslie's trying to return that favor, and that Outlaws defense is trying to return that favor as well.
The 0-1. Fly ball into foul territory and right, and a long run for Isaiah Murillo, and he won't win the race.
You have a batter 0-2 here. I'd like to see him try and attack and try and be efficient with this at bat and not let Griffin creep back in and get to either a 2-2 or a 3-2 count here.
0-2 the count for that of Nick Griffin. Gideon Leslie set to deliver the 0-2. That misses upstairs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, as there is in any game, so much to work on, including for Morgan County, regardless of the score line. That being 11-1, swing and a miss, and a strikeout of Nick Griffin from Gideon Leslie. Here is Deshaun Harvey, as he helped instigate the 11-run third inning for Morgan County. With one away, see what left-handed batter can do. He fouls one out of play. Runs the count to 0-1. And these two teams to meet again on Monday before the Wranglers have a 3-day rest frame. Outlaws to host the Wranglers Monday and then play again on Tuesday. This heads inside and gets away from Matlock, and Bross strolls into second base off the wild pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And this would be a big run to score here. It makes it so that you can't just get 1 run and keep playing. You're going to need to get 2. It also takes away the force out to possibly end this game on a ground ball end this inning on a ground ball double play.
1 ball and 1 strike to Deshaun Harvey. A towering fly ball into foul territory, and that's out of play.
We've seen the pull side power for Harvey. We see a little bit of opposite field power there from him.
Had that home run yesterday for Western Nebraska. What was an 11-0 victory. 1-2 the count with Bross at second base. Upstairs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And then the last stretch of the season, Morgan County to play rest away starting Monday of the following week from next. As Leslie's pitch misses, runs the count full with 1 out. With Bross at second base. Payoff pitch awaiting for Deshaun Harvey for Morgan County. The pitch misses in a walk. Mick Ross remains at second base. Deshaun Harvey at first. Brings on Hoshi Yusei with 3 combined hits between the 2 games. 2 hits in the game where Morgan County got blanked 5-0. This is the last doubleheader of the Front Range League season. A strike is delivered to Hoshi Yusei. 0-1 the count to Hoshi Yusei. That pitch got away. Bross advances to third and Harvey to second.
And when we talk about you really don't want that runner at third to score, you really don't want either of these runners to score at this point, especially now both of them being in scoring position with just 1 out. Seen the Outlaws struggle with this offensively. And if you're the Wranglers, you want to try and add on here and try and get out of here as quick as possible.
Here's the 1-1. Yusei takes a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out, with runners at third and second for Morgan County in the top half of the 5th. The Wranglers staring at a possible run roll victory in the bottom of the 5th. Swing and a miss from Hoshi Yusei and a punch out from Gideon Leslie. Here's Percy Odell. Had 1 hit, but it was a massive one. That sheared open the dam in the 3rd. And he takes ball 1. So the Wranglers to advance to 13-12 on the season. And that drops the Outlaws record to 17-14. 2-0 the count. That certainly intensifies the gap between those two as far as home field advantage is concerned for the playoffs. In tight, 3-0 the count. And if Morgan County were to take that first seed, they would play here on the 31st, a 4-pitch walk. So you would have a home game for the Outlaws if the Wranglers were the 1 seed on that of July the 31st. And then August on out would be the conclusion of the season with Game 3, if necessary, on Sunday. Bases are loaded with 2 outs for Gideon Leslie, as Landon Calabrese steps aboard. With 2 outs in the top half of the 5th, with Mick Bross at third, Deshaun Harvey at second base, Percy Odell at first. First pitch to Calabrese is delivered for a strike. In an 11-1 game. The pitch from Leslie. Strike 2. Here's the 0-2 to Landon Calabrese. As the runners take their leads. The 0-2 goes over the head of Calabrese, and Mick Bross does not even think about attempting to take home. Instead, ball 1. Five more games between these two teams in the regular season. Next week with a game Monday and then on Saturday. Calabrese strikes out and Strands the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the 5th as Nebraska and their fans hope to stay alive after this.
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire.
Bottom of the 5th inning. Here from Gering, Nebraska, Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons as Nebraska Outlaws danger of being run rolled. They trail 11-1 as Outlaws have a weekend that certainly imagine might lead to plenty of soul searching, having been outscored 22-1 over a 2-game stretch at this point. But again, a day off tomorrow, then a game on Monday. Morgan County, barring the unforeseen, their win percentage would advance to 52% on the year, with an uneven number of games to be played amidst all the teams in the Front Range League. Nebraska's win percentage set to drop to 54.8%. Wranglers not too far behind. Braden Basie to lead off for the bottom of the 5th. Outlaws have the top of their order for what it's worth. Aguilar with the first pitch. Inside on Basie for ball 1.
If you want any part of the order up to try and mount some sort of miracle here for the Outlaws, this is where you want it to be. It's 1, 2, and 3 this inning. 2 of your most dangerous bats are going to come to the plate as well. Basie and Maloney. Leslie is no easy out either.
2-0 the count on Braden Basie. And a good test from Madden Aguilar in the bottom half of the 5th. And this leads to a strike. On Basie, 2-1 the count. But for Morgan County, they'll be back here again on Monday. The 2-1 pitch, grounded foul. With an 11-1 scoreline, Morgan County scored all 11 of their runs in the top half of the 3rd inning. Well on their way with the runway position for win number 13 on the year. Here's the 2-2 to Braden Basie from Madden Aguilar. The pitch. Runs the count full. With Basie, Leslie, and Maloney. The batting order for Nebraska. Payoff awaiting for Braden Basie. The windup and the 3-2 pitch is beamed foul. Madden Aguilar, who has who began pitching in the bottom half of the third. Payoff pitch awaiting from Aguilar. Swing and a miss. One away. As Madden Aguilar has a strikeout to Braden Basie.
And a rare strikeout at that. Basie's so good at bat-to-ball skills so far this summer. Has significantly more hits, walks, and hit by pitches than his strikeouts. Just his 12th of the summer.
Seems as if nearly every single game against Morgan County, Braden Basie has at least been hit by a pitch. In the first at-bat plenty of times, and also it seems to be an every game occurrence. Not today. First pitch strike delivered to Gideon Leslie.
If they're unable to score a run here, this will just be the third game of the summer for Basie where he does not reach base.
The count at 0-1 in an 11-1 game. Missed on the part of Aguilar. 1 ball and 1 strike. And you look at the season for Nebraska. Shutout yesterday. In danger of scoring only 1 run for the second time this season against Morgan County. This is a ground ball. Skips on the deck. Throw by Reese. 2 away. And last hope for Nebraska to stay alive in this game is Tegan Maloney. Does have a hit in the game. 1 of 3 from Nebraska. It's a combined 6 hits across 2 games, and averaging 3 hits a game, that is not winning baseball at all.
Especially with runners in scoring position, they've really struggled over these last 2 games.
First pitch. Strike 1 taken by Maloney. With the 11-1 lead, runner roll in effect after 5 innings, and here we are on the bottom of the 5th. The 0-1 misses wide and outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Boy, how things can change quickly in this league. Tegan Maloney had a cycle on Monday against Western Nebraska. Had 2 hits as he fouls back this pitch. And 2 hits against Morgan County in what was a 15-7 victory. And then this. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs for Tegan Maloney. As Aguilar readies himself. The 1-2 pitch on the way to Maloney. Elevated deep in the air to left center field, and this one settles along the wall. Tegan Maloney is aboard with a double for Nebraska.
And we've seen this a lot, especially recently. Tegan Maloney having good nights at the plate. He does it again today. And obviously, he's a team guy. He wants the team to be as successful as they can be. But 2 for 3 day for him with a single and a double. But there's only so much you can do. McKernan did have that RBI his last time up. So you might be able to sniff the 6th inning here if you can get him in.
With 2 outs in the bottom half of the 5th. As Aguilar delivers. Throw gets into the dirt. And Maloney heads to third base. And the game-preserving run is 90 feet away.
And again, being good with 2 strikes. Tegan Maloney, a great approach there, going the other way. We've seen his opposite field power, but you got to try and bury that pitch. You have 2 strikes on a great hitter in this league. You don't want to leave a pitch up and in the zone, and Aguilar does it right there.
1-0 the count to Christian McKernan. Had a ground roll double. And this is grounded and deep in the air, and that ball is gone. Or rather, along the wall. One way or the other, Nebraska stays in the game. So a ground roll double again for Christian McKernan. He's 2 for 3 on the night, as is the case for Tegan Maloney. And it's an 11-2 game.
He's hit these Wranglers pretty well this summer. His first home run coming against this team. 2 of his 3 home runs coming against this team.
And it's an 11-2 game. So Nebraska stays alive. Here's Isaiah Murillo with McKernan at second base. He took a swing, the ambitious one, 0-1 the count.
Seems to be McKernan is the only hitter on this team that knows how to hit with runners in scoring position in these last 2 games. He's the only one with RBIs, the only person that scored runs with runners in scoring position over these last 2 games.
Line drive on the ground, juggled by Reese, throw over to first, and that retires the side. Nebraska is able to score to keep the game alive as we head to the 6th inning with our score, Morgan County 11, Nebraska 2. Program. 11-2, Morgan County with the lead on Nebraska. Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons. As we see Morgan County as they have their eyes set on what would be their 13th win of the year. But an 11-2 lead, but credit to Nebraska with how they had the bases loaded, Morgan County did, in the top half of the 5th. Did not allow a run. And then with their backs against the wall, at 1 point to their final strike, they keep the game alive, and here we are with the deficit at 9. Scanny and Leslie did an adequate job in the 5th.
And if you're Morgan County, there's a lot to take away from this game that was not successful in any way on your end. You, outside of the 3rd inning, you have not been great with runners in scoring position either. You've made errors in the field. You've walked people to put yourself in bad position. You haven't been successful with 2 strikes necessarily. Is that pitch to Maloney got way too much of the plate that he was able to put into the gap. Credit to Maloney for doing that. But that pitch needs to be buried in the dirt or out of the zone in a 1-2 count.
1-1 to Von Dill. Brings up the count. 2 balls and 1 strike. It's an 11-2 game. And these 2 teams to meet again on Monday. This pitch leads to swinging strike on the part of Von Dill. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A 2-2 from Leslie to Dill. Grounder up the middle, and able to glove and unable to glove the loose ball was Leslie, and that puts Von Dill aboard.
And in 7 at-bats, these bottom 2 hitters have reached 6 times. And we saw them have success with that, the Pioneers, I should say, with that against this Outlaws pitching. And the Outlaws have really struggled with that. And if there's any points of emphasis for them on the pitching side of things, it's really that. You need to be able to retire these players at the end of the lineup.
Ray Zamripa takes strike 1. With Von Dill at first base. 0-1 to Zamripa, and he takes a swing, 0-2. But for Morgan County, this inning comes timely for them, considering how they have had their slumps as of recently. Ball 1 delivered on the outside to Zamripa. 1-2 the count. As Leslie readies, the 1-2 pitch misses outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes for Zamripa. Nobody out with Von Dill at first base for Morgan County in an 11-2 game. Here's the 2-2 to Zamripa. Swing and a miss. 1 away. As Gideon Leslie comes up with a K. Top of the order for Tariq Reese. With Sunday awaiting. With another slate of baseball games. Major leagues. Colorado Rockies in action as they face Cincinnati. That game tomorrow. 1-0. Fastball on the part of Leslie. Misses 2-0. Colorado Rockies a winner today against Cincinnati by the count of 10-3. TJ Rumfield had 4 hits in the game, including a 2-run home run shot. Missed outside, 3-0 the count with 1 out. Dill at first. Put on the coaching hat in a moment. Here's the 3-0 pitch. And a strike delivered to Reese. So if you are Zach McCoy, how do you respond after this weekend? 3-1 on the way. And a strike delivered to Reese as he already made the trot thinking he had a walk.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
You can't get in that batter's box. You can't hit with runners in scoring position. You can only say what you want the approach to be.
As Tariq Reese is aboard with a single. It's one of the toughest spots to be in as a manager. You can only provide so much. But what you got to do, saying the right things, making the right moves and decisions.
And he's in a tough spot pitching-wise, especially at the end of this season.
Popped up on the part of Mick Bross. Matlock able to make the catch for out number 2.
And again, struggling with runners in scoring position. They're not out of this inning yet. And you have the dangerous bat of Griffin up to the plate. But needing these hitters to produce with runners in scoring position, neither team has done it that well outside of that top half of the 3rd inning for the Wranglers.
Heck, even you can make that case for Nebraska, too, in the 3rd. They scored one of their runs If there's areas of optimism, Tegan Maloney, Christian McCartan, there's plenty to take away out of this game, albeit with the scoreline the way it is. 1-0 pitch, misses upstairs, 2-0.
We saw McKernan play well the other night as well. He was hitting the ball well, was one of those 3 hits. So there's that to bring away from it, but it's too many walks on the pitching side of things. Too many walks, especially to the bottom of it. The order of guys you should be getting out and not letting set the table without putting the ball in play.
That's something I will look ahead on Monday. We'll be with you on the Front Range League Network and locally in Fort Morgan on KFTM. This is fouled back by Griffin. 3 balls and 1 strike to the Colorado native. But with few schedule changes, there was going to be a game on Wednesday between Pioneers against Morgan County. That has been changed. And 5-pitch walk for Nick Griffin loads up the bases again for Morgan County with 2 outs. That brings on Deshaun Harvey. Harvey 1 for 3 today in this game for Morgan County. Zach McCoy, he decides for a mound visit. With 2 outs, what's your assessment of Gideon Leslie with him coming, albeit in relief, in what is a game that's out of hand?
I like how he's pitched well with runners in scoring position. Would like to see him in the zone a little bit more, but he's had success to this point, has not allowed a run, which is what you want to see out of him. But just not in the zone enough, as it's been 4 free passes from him. Although he's been able to work around every single one of them, so credit to him for that.
And see how he navigates this sequence with the bases loaded. With Deshaun Harvey awaiting. Having played earlier today for Western Nebraska, 5-0 win. Chris Moody with a complete game shutout. Coming away with player of the game honors. Morgan County in pole position to also come away with a win today. For the Wranglers, this is still, sure, the score is the way it is. The fielding has got to improve. 6 errors in 2 games cannot win the Front Range League at all. That's got to be cleaned up for them if they look to find success throughout the course of the season. You cannot live off of 2 errors a game. Bases loaded for Deshaun Harvey with 2 outs. Popped up out of play. Again, it goes back to the areas that T.C. Fairfield, the manager for Morgan County, has emphasized throughout. Quality at bats. This throw gets away, but snared in time by Matlock. Even up the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. And sure, 11-2 victory, but the fielding has got to improve for Morgan County if they look to make a run down the stretch. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Harvey fouls this one away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Harvey with the bases loaded with 2 outs. Vaughn Dill at third. Tariq Reese at second base. Nick Griffin at first. Here's the 1-2 from Gideon Leslie. And what a catch by Matlock. That saved what would have been a run. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Runners take their leads. As Leslie readies himself, the 2-2 on the way to Harvey, and ball 3.
And Harvey has been a free swinger at times for the Pioneers. He's able to hold up there.
Here's the payoff. Inside, and a bases loaded walk. And it's a 12-2 game. And the Wranglers back up by double digits.
Which means that the Outlaws will need to score a run here in this next inning if they want to keep playing.
Here's Oshiuse. Bases remain loaded with 2 outs. Ball 1 delivered as Reese, with a position player on the mound, thought of stealing home. Here's the 1-0. Pitch from Leslie. Line drive into left and caught by Onestad to end top half of the 6th inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th with the score Morgan County 12, Nebraska 2. Bottom of the 6th inning from Gering, Nebraska. Danny Bach joined alongside Bob Parsons. It's a 12-2 lead for Morgan County. New pitcher for the Wranglers and Percy Odell. But this is a case where if the Outlaws are unable to score, the game would end courtesy of the run rule. See what Percy Odell can do on the mound. TC Fairfield has lauded over the pitching job and Odell has done for Morgan County in his recent weeks. We'll see what Odell can do. As we see Seth Onestad made the catch to end proceedings in the top half of the 6th, with Morgan County only scoring 1 run.
And I want to see better approaches from this bottom of the lineup. We haven't seen great approaches. Onestad did reach, so did Turk, but both of those are rollovers to the left side.
Onestad is 2 for 2 tonight. Ball 1 delivered by Percy Odell. And you think about how close Nebraska was, having the game ended in the 5th inning. As the 1-0 pitch finds the strike zone. 1 ball and 1 strike. Madden Aguilar was in line for the save having pitched through 3 innings. But pair of ground rule doubles help Nebraska stay alive for now. Swing and a miss from Honestad runs the count to 1-2.
And again, I'd like to see a better approach here from Honestad, see if he can drive a ball here. We saw him do it back in his first at-bat.
Percy Odell wants to see a strikeout and does. 4-pitch strikeout of Seth Honestad. Yes, Honestad strikes out looking.
And again, need to see a better approach there. That outside pitch has been called all day long. You know that's going to be there. At the very least, just try and battle it off, fight it off as best you can.
Grayson Matlock. Odell delivers. Strike 1. Again, Morgan County. Their playoff number would drop to 4. This is fouled out of play by Matlock. Count 0-2. Sure to join us on Monday night at 6:35 for these two teams to meet again. Odell delivers one outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Grayson Matlock. The 1-2 awaiting from Percy Odell with Zach Turk on deck. The 1-2 pitch. Got the outs, missed outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two and two with 1 out. The pitch to Matlock. Swing and a miss, and a strikeout. And once again, Nebraska is down to their final out. So Honestad strikes out looking. Matlock strikes out swinging. Here comes Zach Turk.
You just want to try and find your way on base. You're not going to be able to get it all back in one swing, obviously. Just trying to put together quality at bats.
First pitch patrols into the dirt. Want to know the count. Freire Zamripa behind home plate, serving as the catcher in the game. Here's Odell who delivers. This a fly ball out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to Zach Turk. What is a complete day of baseball at Oregon Trail Park. Western Nebraska, 5-0 winner earlier today. Game 2, Morgan County a 12-2 lead. 1-1 pitch. This is fouled away, and Nebraska is down to their final strike for the 2nd consecutive inning. One and 2 to Zach Turk. As Odell checks the sign from Ray Zamripa. The 1-2 pitch on the way. And that is into the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. In a 12-2 contest. Here's the 2-2. Fouled away.
And we've seen Turk do this year, put together quality at bats, put together good at bats here for this Outlaws team. Just trying to extend this game at this point, try and find a way on base, trying to flip that lineup card over if Grady Manuel can reach behind you.
Two and 2 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Turk has got to get aboard to stay alive, and he won't hear a strikeout to end the game. And Morgan County has won it. In a 12-2 victory over Nebraska, they up their record on the season to 13-12 as they inch closer to Nebraska in the standings, as they are 20 percentage points away from catching up to Nebraska. But it's Morgan County with a 12-2 victory off of 10 hits and 2 errors. Nebraska with 2 runs off of 5 hits and 2 errors additionally. And with that being the end of the game, winning pitcher is Chase Taylor for Morgan County, and the loss is dealt to Marcel Alexander as they both went 2 innings of work, with Alexander giving up 8 earned runs. Taylor, with 2 scoreless innings, is registered as the winning pitcher today. But again, coming up next on Monday, the 2 teams to meet again at 6:35. We'll see what response Nebraska has, and as the case for Morgan County coming off 12-2 victory. That's all the time that we have for tonight's broadcast. Special thank you to everyone who makes this broadcast possible. For our producer, Hayden Fisher, who's pushing the buttons for us tonight, and for Bob Parsons, I'm Danny Box saying so long and take care, and thanks for being with us. Your final score, the Morgan County Wranglers 12, Nebraska Outlaws 2.